Hello and welcome to the Nerdy Birdie, the next series. This is a webinar series where we're showcasing start to finish examples of successful integrations with our synthesized vendors and channel partners. We all know it's one thing to get an integration off the ground, but it's quite another to see it really take flight. So we're featuring guest speakers on vendor side, and they're sharing their integration experience with us and what it's been like with our synthesized billing module. And now we announced just last week our alerts module. So our platform continues to grow. But that's where we take a deep dive into what went well, what went less well, because we all know that every flight hits a little turbulence now and then. So join us every month. It's usually the third week of every month as we explore vendor integrations from every angle and our PSA platforms that we integrate with. This month's Nerdy Birdie series is featuring Matthew Sywulak. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I know there's some Polish heritage behind that, I think. But at INKY, as we get into the nitty-gritty with synthesized billing, the INKY partner portal and best practices. So without further ado, let's introduce our nerdy birdie himself, Matt Sywulak. So why don't you take some time to introduce yourself? And for a fun fact, he was actually the first sales engineer hired at INKY Technology. So welcome, Matt. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Yeah, it is a harder name. It is actually Cyrillic, so it's a Ukrainian heritage from.
Ukrainian. There
yeah,
you go.
so Sywulak, so like
Sywulak.
an SIV. So yeah, it's a little difficult. I've had it my whole life, so I've heard it from all my teachers and whatnot. It's very easy. But yeah, so I'm Matt Sywulak. I'm the director of SEs over here at INKY. I am the first, or was the first SE here at INKY. I've been here for 4 years now. So January 2019 is when I started. So this will be my fourth full year coming up in this January. I'm a vet. I was in the Army for signals intelligence, made my way out to do cybersecurity. And then just, happily landed here 4 years ago or so. So yeah, nice. I'm happy to take you guys through our integration path and some of the ins and outs that we experienced along the way.
Awesome. Good to hear. Yeah, thanks for being aboard here. So now to introduce myself, if you haven't heard of myself, I came from the MSP realm. I like to coin myself as a recovering MSP of 6+ years. When I work with partners on a daily, I'm a manager of partner success here at Grading MSP, and I get the privilege of working with MSPs like yourself each and every day. And I'm really here just to help you realize the full value of the synthesized platform. Now that we introduced alerts and billing, I've seen all the ins and outs as to what that looks like on the other end. So there's times where I do end up getting some flashbacks when it comes to reconciliation and alerts and all that stuff. So I know all very much about the pain that comes with running an MSP on a daily. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into our agenda 2. This is where we're going to, we've already did our brief introductions, and then I'm going to pass the baton over to Matt as he jumps into successful implementations and best practices, user management tips and tricks, some things that will be of use to you when it comes to the implementation of, say, INKY or just user management best tips and tricks. That way, it comes full circle into the synthesized billing module and making sure that you get paid for everything that you do, essentially. Because, if we're talking about INKY services, they have 5 services right now in which you can read. You don't want to have death by 1,000 cuts where you're essentially reselling or not reselling up, or you're over provisioning or whatever it may be. Either way, we just want to make sure that you are well equipped to not only manage those users within INKY's partner portal, but also, again, just bringing that into that usage right into synthesized billing for you to, again, get paid for everything that you do. So Matt, I'm going to pass it over to you. I'm going to stop sharing right now. and that way you can share your screen and guide everyone today on your journey.
Awesome. Yeah, so we wanted to make the integration as simple as possible with our partners. We integrated first with Office 365 because it is our most native integration. So I'm going to go from there to kind of take you through the life cycle of how that kind of works from integration of 365 to INKY to Gradient. And of course, just show you any sort of tricks along the way. So first and foremost, let me get my screen share going. So I'm going to start at the Office 365 Admin Center. So however you as an MSP may be able to do this, or maybe doing this in the starting point from an active user. Maybe you have another tool that is like provisioning active users for you in an Office 365 environment. At the end of the day, what INKY is going to do is read from your Office 365 portal using the Graph API access we have to look for things like licenses. So you can see here all these different active users that we may have, but a whole bunch of them are unlicensed. And when I look at my PSA integration for INKY, we're not going to count things like unlicensed users because they're not ones receiving email. We care to protect people, people that are receiving email. And in this sort of event, it's really just an active user that you have provisioned that is licensed to receive the mail. And so I'll flip quickly over to my PSA integration that kind of brought on board to show you what I'm really working with. This is my integration with Gradient. I have one set up. I have a sync that is being successful over. I'll go through how we got to this point, but I kind of just wanted to show you the first starting point of how we count seat counts. So first, really, there is a seat count that is given if you are a customer of ours. When you onboard a new user, you give us a provisional seat count that we use as a starting point. We then would go to Office 365 to say, does this seat count match, yes or no? If not, we would give you a little bit of a variance between those two. And so from just a very big starting point here, we have Pablo Capital Office 365. This is one of my honeypot accounts I use. It has 9 associated seats with it at this point. And that's because we are looking at, again, the active users that are licensed. So if we count my active users up that have licenses, you have 3 up here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm just showing real quickly how we're getting that seat count for you. Again, you'll see over on the right side here that I still have 2 more available licenses to be utilized in my Office 365 environment because I'm paying for 11 of them, but I'm only utilizing 9 of them as an active email user. Because again, as INKY, we're protecting your email. We're not protecting your entire active user count. Maybe you have users that have licenses for 365, but they don't have Exchange mailboxes. So what are we going to do there? Nothing. So we're not going to charge you for that. So again,
so Matthew, if I can just stop you right there, is when you're managing mailboxes, does that mean that regardless of whether or not you turn on that business premium, you have to enable Exchange mailbox, that online plan 1 or 2, right?
Right. It has to have an Exchange mailbox. And behind the scenes, there is some, at the end of the day, a lot of this integration work isn't too difficult. It's just some extra work. So behind the scenes, what we're actually doing is looking up all the actual product names that Office 365 has to offer. And so, business plan P2 that you saw here, or back on or business plan premium, business premium, that's one of the many different licenses you can buy from 365. And every single one of those licenses correspond to a specific GUID that is, of course, globally unique. But we've went through and scraped this. You can get in CSV table here. It makes it a lot easier. Scrape that for every single license that has an Exchange mailbox available, because there's actually a whole bunch of old legacy product names that are still in existence that customers use on a day-to-day basis. So we've scraped this entire list. It is super long. You'd see my scroll bar goes forever.
Microsoft makes things very confusing. They tend to do that with their licensing. Yeah,
they do. So again, we're really looking for that Exchange thing. And we did, the little bit of legwork to make sure that if we find something that has Exchange, like I just randomly scrolled down here, you have Exchanges, but they're all different styles that you can pull from. So my business premium, right here, but I could have small business, not premium, and still have Exchange mailbox. So again, we're looking for that. And as long as that they're an active user, again, active user plus have an associated license that has Exchange available, will that count update? So like I'll update this one user here and see if I can find the save icon behind my chat. And so now this user will be the 10th license that would be available inside of INKY once I sync, and give this a couple minutes as I go on, talk about more things, and then resync it. From an overnight scenario, from an INKY standpoint, if you did that during the day, we automatically sync every night into Gradient. So you won't have to come sync the data now. If you don't want to at that point, you can do it and just keep clicking until 365 is actually updated. But from a daily sync process, this will automatically sync to Gradient for you every single night if you have this checkbox selected. So that is that first real, and really the only way we need to find new users in Office 365. From an actual integration standpoint, once we have that seat count from them using the active license, we'll update that seat count in here and push it to Gradient. From an INKY standpoint, every single product that we give out to MSPs to sell would be the same seat count across those products. So if you buy internal mail protection, fish fence, outbound mail protection, it's always going to be the same seat count, which would sync over to Gradient to that same product SKU, which then you could have set up into your PSA. From an INKY side, we're still getting a little bit more work done on our account management page. As an MSP, you may see this have popped up very recently. It was initially only available to our onboarding new Gradient users that we were testing with, but is now available for everyone. We are building out more and more of this section, pretty much daily. Our overview page will eventually have all this information available to you at all times and not just waiting for you to sync now, just so you can always see it at a glance without having to sync. So we're pushing more data into there. So from an INKY side, you have more visibility. But again, we are syncing this every single night to the Gradient process. So from, let's see if that sync is available yet. So I'll just do a sync now and see if we can get an extra unit cost there from my team I just added. That just takes a second.
So while that's syncing there too, Matt, we had a question come through from Matthew. Will I be able to attach an organization to a parent company with the integration with synthesized billing? I resell INKY to a few partners, so I need to attach INKY organizations to an organization in ConnectWise Manage, which it is already tied to. Not sure if this makes sense, but what I experienced over the weekend when I got Gradient set up. Okay, so this is where I will definitely go through the INKY integration, configuration within synthesized billing. But indeed, you are mapping organizations from your INKY partner portal to that of your PSA customers. So it's just a one-to-one matching there, but I don't know if there's anything within that there, Matt, to dive into from the INKY side of things when it comes to associating seats and licenses to an organization.
Yeah, so I know Matthew, and he's got a good question there. On the INKY side, we do have the concept of organizational hierarchy. So here is just a very simple version of that with the $ all teams down to teams directly. So that is just say one org to many teams. Now we can easily associate one org to another org. So they are a sub team of a greater organization. So think grandparent, parent, child. So it is 3 different levels. I'm not sure if between us and Gradient, if that sort of concept is supported at this point, like the MSSP concept.
Yeah, I don't think that it is. I would think we just pull in the parent, but definitely something that I would need to delve into with our team. But from what I understand, we're just pulling in the parent company and all the seats that are associated to that. So regardless if you set those up into parent-child organizations within your INKY partner portal, we're taking the total seat count. So, yeah, we can definitely work with that offline, Matthew, and see if we can address that. Because it is, it is a good use case. It is a great use case. I can see there's a lot of MSPs that make those exceptions for their customers for locations and whatnot. So definitely a use case that we'll definitely take offline, and
Cool.
I'll take it to our team here as well.
Awesome. And so, yeah, so quickly, just to kind of prove that we are successfully seeing that new seat that was added as a license inside of Office 365, we now have 10 for Apollo Capital Office 365. So again, just to kind of recap there, to show that Office 365 licenses are what we're pulling for active email users. We had a business premium added to a person that was unlicensed. We have 11 licenses available inside of 365 that we're paying for as a company, but only set 10 of them up as an active mailbox. And of course, INKY sees that and says, hey, there's only 10 here. That's your adjustment to INKY. So you may be paying for, your customers may be paying for 35 licenses, but if you're only using 15 of them, great. That's what we're going to charge for, because we're not going to see mail for the remaining licenses. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We have a work in progress with our G Suite right now. So we know that some of our partners have G Suite customers, of course. It is happening. We do have our seat count integration that is working with Google at this point. It is going to be very slightly different for how we count those teams, because they don't have concepts of licenses with emails. It's really, you have a user, they get it in box no matter what. So we're just double checking that before we fully push that out, but G Suite will be supported very soon. I just don't have that map just yet for my gradient team. That's why we get this nice easy error that says there's no mapping for that. I could easily do that in the future if I wanted to, when we are ready to pull in this G Suite team that I have created.
Yeah, and that would be on the gradient side of things for sure.
Right.
So Matt, another question from Matt. There's a Matt banter going on right now. He's wondering, should I have set the PSA integration? What team rather I should have set the PSA integration under? I'm assuming my Divergent IT all teams group. Would that be correct?
Yeah, that would be correct. You want it under your Divergent IT all teams, the top level of your hierarchy organization. If you don't have it set to all teams, I'll just show you, you won't see the PSA integration. Right. So it has to be something that is in all teams that have available child teams underneath it.
Yeah, and then that's where you would we would generate that gradient API token on our end for you just to populate that, and I can show you on screen in a second. Yeah. But Matt, is that all you have to share? I can.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a pretty good showing point of what we're actually recording as an active user in INKY.
No, that's awesome. So this is a great segue into just showcasing our integration. So bear with me. I'm going to pull up my screen here, and if I can find all the 100 tabs that I'm working with, sure. I'm just going to share my screen, I guess. Here we go. So this is, I'm just now in our billing module. Forget the profit and revenue. If you're doing $1 trillion in revenue, you're probably not on this webinar today.
But I'll come work for you right now. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So this is just a test instance in which many people have their hands all over, but I wanted to use this just to showcase our INKY integration. So this is where, if you haven't already got started with Synthesize and our billing module, you can get started today. It's free. It takes no longer than 10 to 15 minutes just to get your account activated, your PSA synced. We now work with 9 PSAs on the market. So this is where you're coming into our Synthesize platform, and you're going to go to the INKY technology vendor card for you to then click connect. And this is where you're going to then again generate that API token. So you're going to copy that, jump straight to INKY, your partner portal there, sign in with your Google, Microsoft SSO or whichever. And this is where you're going to go to the all teams, go to the PSA integration. You're going to populate that gradient API token that we had copied from the previous step. And then this is where we're going to validate and save that token. Once all set and done, this is by default, I believe, automatically syncing data to gradient, as Matt had alluded to, every day. We can do a sync now just to pull in all of your customers within the INKY portal. And then this is where we're going to then jump back into Synthesize, and we're going to continue on to configure the rest of this. And I'm just going to do a quick little search refresh so we can continue on to the next step. And then this is again where we're going to go through the 4 steps required in order to complete the integration on the Synthesize side. So, you know, as we've already pulled in your customers, this is where you're just going to go through, scour your PSA customers. And to Matt's question earlier, we're mapping customers, organizations from your vendor partner, your INKY partner portal to that of your PSA. You know, I'll get back to you. I'll take that offline as far as your child organizations and whatnot would be a really, really great use case there to enhance this integration. But again, it's just a one-to-one. Now, I'm just going to go in here and map these accordingly and do a quick refresh here. There's a known Google Chrome or Chromium issue that we have addressed in our next release today. That's why it's just going a little funky there. But we're just going to go ahead and map the rest of these. And once all said and done, we're going to click next. And this is where we're going to map services again from your INKY partner portal to that of your PSA catalog, your product catalog, your service catalog. So this is where you can do a partial search. You can find your particular product here. And the great thing is also is just to toggle that hide mapped. This is where we can then do a many-to-one service mapping. So as Matt alluded to, INKY is pulling seat counts from Google Workspace and Microsoft 365 based on those mailboxes. So you could technically use your INKY integration within Synthesize billing to potentially reconcile other said services. So if you do want to use your INKY integration as a source of truth to reconcile, say, your user bundle or whatever it may be, maybe your security bundle, or you just itemize everything, or you have a mix of both service per seat bundles or itemization of those services across your client contracts. Either way, we have the flexibility to accommodate your needs. So again, regardless if you have service bundles, you know, you itemize them, or you have a mix of both, because we all know through mergers and acquisitions, you inherit, you know, some messy contracts, or you just don't have consistency amongst your product catalog or that of your client contracts. This is where you can go crazy and map as many services to that single service from INKY as you want. So you can go crazy with this. And again, Matt mentioned all 5 services from INKY pull the same seat count per organization. So you can go crazy as to what you want to do here. So maybe I do want to use INKY to reconcile my premium user support bundle, let's say. Well, I can go ahead and do that. And again, it's a Chromium based issue that we got going on right now, but I'm going to do a quick refresh. And then this is where we're going to finalize and finish that integration. Now, once we've done that mapping from the gradient side, this is where you can come back here and just verify that we're syncing in that properly. This is where we're going to associate those organizations to the team within the INKY partner portal. And we're going to finish that integration. Integration is set up, it's complete. We can click OK, and we can go straight back to that INKY integration from the Synthesize side to configure that if we ever need to generate a new API token, if we need to update our service mappings, our account mappings, we will only, it's worth noting, we will only auto match organizations to that of your INKY partner portal if there's an exact match. So best practice with any vendor that you're working with is to use the same nomenclature, that's same naming conventions of your PSA, so that there are exact matches. But this is where you can go in here. Maybe you onboarded a new client in the last 30 days, just to make sure that you're mapping those accordingly. You can come in and map your accounts all from here. So that's what that looks like from the billing side of things. But this is where we can go straight to our billing module. And I'm going to do a quick refresh here as well. And this is where we should see INKY Technologies, and we should see some usage pulled in here. So again, I'm working with a test account, but this is again where we only mapped a few customers there, but this is where you're going to be able to review, approve that usage. So if there was a match here, maybe there was Loche Air Freight, we had matched that. 18 is the number in teal that shows your PSA count. And if there was a match from INKY, this is where we're going to pull in that count, so you can then review and reconcile. So in this instance, we pulled in 3 newfound revenue cards, indicating that, hey, we haven't actually billed anything for these particular customers. So this is where we pulled in the seat count from INKY, which is indicated on the right, and then the 0 count from your PSA. So we can go ahead and add these to an existing contract within your PSA, and we can add prorations. We're always going to pull in the effective date on for your next a recurring agreement renewal. So this is where, typically you're coming into our billing module each and every month prior to that invoice cycle. And now it's pulling the first because the majority of MSPs, they typically bill on the first of every month. So you're coming into our billing module prior to, pulling in your usage from INKY. And again, that sync's happening on a daily basis for you to then review and approve. And as soon as you assign or you approve those service cards, again, they're going to be removed from the reconciliation page here, indicating that you had reconciled it. You can go into the activity log if you need to go back and see what changes had been made. But as soon as you hit that approval and adjust, that's when we're going to update those contract line items within your PSA. So that's as easy as it gets. You can get started with INKY within a few minutes time, and you can get to reviewing and approving these things. And again, making sure that you don't leave any money on the table and you truly get paid for everything that you do. So this comes full circle with user management from the INKY partner side of things, and then how to then leverage that integration with synthesized billing to ensure that, again, you get paid for everything that you do. As cliche as that sounds, but that's truly where we have the flexibility, as I mentioned earlier, to accommodate whatever need you have. Maybe you itemize, you have service bundles, or both. Either way, it doesn't matter. As long as it's a contract line item or an addition on your agreement or contract within your PSA, we're going to pull that in. We're going to then cross-reference that to whatever organization you have and those seat counts within INKY for you then to review and reconcile. So real straightforward integration there. Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing my screen real quick and maybe open it up to a Q&A if anyone has any questions. Pretty straightforward integration. Now we got to kick INKY in the shins to get them integrated with our alerts module. So yeah. So I'm sure there's been discussions
take that one back.
Yeah, we'll have to take that one back. Not to put any pressure on you there, Matt, but yeah, this is where our billing integration. It's better together with INKY, and we're truly opening the doors just to make your lives easier. Again, we integrate with 9 PSAs on the market right now, and then that continues to grow into more PSAs and more platforms of your choice. So that's the really exciting thing in having these partnerships with vendors like INKY. So really exciting stuff. Hopefully that kind of explained things a little further as far as the seat count from INKY. And if you do have any questions with regarding INKY, you probably are well acquainted with Matt here. And on the grading side of things, just reach out to your success manager. You probably are working with myself already, but either way, if you have any questions or if you have any feedback as far as where you want our platform to go, by all means, we love to hear that. And yeah, I'll leave it there. But last but not least, I just wanted to just put a plug in for the next Nerdy Birdie series, which will feature Ashley Cooper from our team at Grading MSP. If you don't already know of her, she's the Director of Partner Experience and Operations at Grading MSP. She is an MSP geeker. She is so well acquainted to everything that goes on in the channel and the MSP space. And she formerly had her hands on ConnectWise Manage a lot. So we're taking a deep dive into ConnectWise Manage and synthesized billing. So this is where we're going to identify best practices in configuring your recurring agreements, how to accommodate customer exceptions, how to reconcile service bundles, fixed recurring packages, itemization of services or a combination of them all, the importance of segmenting revenue and cost of goods sold. It's all about those COGS, and sales to service, the full journey of agreement sales. So there's a lot to take into that account. So if you are interested, I'm going to just add that registration link into the chat here. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. To everyone here. And if you are interested in learning more about that, I encourage you to register for that webinar, which will be November 15th. So good month from now. So well, more than enough time to get registered for that if you're interested. But thanks so much for your time today, Matt. I really appreciate it. And thanks for all that attended. We will have this, well, this is recorded for sure. So if you ever want to go back, we're going to be sharing this as well. So thank you for your time, Matt. And any closing words or sentiments from your end?
No, just I'll thank you as well, Brian. It was a pleasure working with you guys, getting that initial part integrated. We'll have to take a deeper look into the alerts platform to see what it can support and what we could do with that. Yeah, we're always looking to partnership. It is, of course, the best way to get everyone out there. So yeah, so thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I'll give back the 25 extra minutes from this webinar to you all. And wow, we flew through that real quick. So that's just as easy as it gets to get started with the INKY integration with synthesize billing. And without further ado, I will wave goodbye. Thank you so much, Matt. Have a great day. See y'all. Bye now.
Bye. Thanks.